Over the last few months, I have driven several different variants of the Mitsubishi Triton. I've driven the GLS, the GLX, 4x4 pickup, the GLXR, and now the GSR. 4 variants, several months, and way more acronyms than I care to explain. For context, actually, that's 4 more utes than I think my wife thought I needed to drive. Because in that time, I've also driven several Ford Rangers and several Kia Tasmans, almost the whole Kia Tasman range, to be honest. Is that unfortunate for this Triton? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you what I think Mitsubishi got right, what I think they probably didn't, and I'm going to tell you if I think you should buy this Mitsubishi Triton, a Ranger, a Tasman, or something else. Now let's start with a big one, and that's value, because this top of the line Mitsubishi Triton, the GSR, starts at 63 grand. So a Ford Ranger, for instance, XLT mid-range, it's about the same money. And a top of the line Kia Tasman, the X-Pro, I'll put a link to my review up here, you're looking at about 80 grand. So that's not just a small jump, that's a jet ski, that's something substantial. But that's where this Triton starts to make a lot more sense, because you're getting a proper 4x4 system, 3.5 tons towing, there's a bi-turbo diesel up there, you're also getting a full safety suite, and this is all for significantly less than the top-end alternatives. Mitsubishi have essentially looked at the entire market and said, we'll just give you everything for less money, which is either very generous or very suspicious. I really haven't decided yet. This new 2.4 litre bi-turbo diesel is actually pretty solid as well. So it gets 150 kilowatts, 470 Newton meters of torque, but it delivers that torque right down low. And in my professional opinion, if you can call creating YouTube videos professional, that's where torque should be, right down low. It feels pretty strong off the line, and you know, it does sound very truck-like, but it doesn't feel like it's being worked all that hard. It's definitely not as punchy as the Ranger, but it does feel pretty dependable still. It feels solid. It feels like really connected and solid. It just kind of goes about its business like simply, quietly, well, not quietly, but simply, and I think that's probably a pretty good compliment for a diesel, because some of them, you know, can struggle just a little bit. Now, four-wheel driving is one of the areas that Mitsubishi still really know what they're doing. The Super Select four-wheel drive system on this is still one of the best in the business. You can run four-wheel drive on the road, switch on the fly. When things get tough, you can lock everything down. Now, I hear that's good relationship advice, but I don't really know. It just works, and it doesn't feel like one of those lifestyle utes that are just pretending to be tough. The Super Select system is proven. Two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, locked four-wheel drive, it does it all. You just tap a button and it just happens. A bit like subscribing, if you just tap it, it just happens. So why don't you go and subscribe? Now, when it comes to the ride, yes, Mitsubishi have worked on it, and yes, it is a lot better. I will say the ride on this is a lot better. However, it's still not the most refined ute around. Just driving along here, there's potholes, there's bumps, there's, you know, all sorts of things on the road, and you are feeling it's coming up through the seat, it's through the steering wheel. It's not the most refined ute on the market. It feels a bit more workhorse-like than the Ranger, that's for sure. And I mean, if you're talking about value and you are using this for work, then that's perfectly fine. The only reason you're probably going to be annoyed at this is if you've tricked yourself into thinking you're buying a premium luxury car, you know, like a Wild Track or an X-Pro, or, you know, an Amarok. If you look at what you're buying for the price, yes, it might not be the most refined ride, but I tell you what, it is much improved. Now, the interior, and I'm going to be fair to Mitsubishi here, nothing feels cheap in a way that's going to insult you for paying 63 grand, but it's more of a slow, quiet kind of disappointment, which maybe that's worse. As I said at the start of the video, I've spent time in various Rangers, basically the whole lineup of Tasmans, and after sitting in those, you kind of just feel the gap. The Ranger, it feels like someone's kind of obsessed over it, and you get that really big screen, and it just feels like
Everything's kind of where it needs to be, and it's been thought about. Now the Tasman goes even further, and it's like Kia's looked at every single ute on the market, and they've written down what annoys people about driving or the interior of a ute, and they've just gone about fixing those annoying things. There's a proper widescreen up here that has graphics that aren't from the 2000s, and the materials, to be honest, on the Tasman, they feel like materials that should be on an 80 grand car. So in that respect, yeah, Kia's built a ute, an interior on a ute that brands that have been doing this for 30 years haven't built. Its first attempt is pretty impressive. This Triton, it feels like they've designed the interior and they've just assumed that you're going to be wearing a hard hat and gloves, which is fine if you wear a hard hat and gloves. But if you're doing school runs, maybe running to client meetings, you're going to feel like you're in a different tier of ute. It's not embarrassing. It's a functional, nice interior, and it's just honest about what it does. So then what should you buy? Well, if you're going to use your ute, if you're going to go towing, camping, if you use it for work and you care about value, then this like makes a lot of sense. You're not paying for image or, you know, a super nice interior, but you're making a big saving as well. The people buying the Triton know exactly what they're doing. If you want the best all-rounder, the interior, the ride around town, then you're probably going to want to look at the Ranger. The Ford, it just feels a bit more complete. And then there's the Tasman. It's newer. They're doing things a little bit differently, especially in terms of the interior. It's just like driving a normal car, but you're looking at almost 80 grand for the X Pro, 70-ish, mid-70s for the X line, which is under that, and they're probably the two that you're going to want because they do come with like the leather, or in this case the leatherette, that kind of matches this. But yeah, like I was saying earlier, it does have the best interior on the market, and at 80 grand it should. If the Tasman's interior wasn't as good as it is, perhaps we'd be sitting here having a different conversation. So here's the honest truth of it. This Triton, it's not the best ute you can buy, but it could just be the smartest. And in 2026, where things are just, prices are just going through the roof, fuel's $2.50 at the moment, cost of living, like being the smartest buy and, you know, a value buy actually matters a lot more than it used to. And I mean, it does what a Ranger does, just for a lot less money. And for most people, that's probably just a better decision. Now, I've driven 4 of these, actually, probably could even be more than that now. That's probably enough for a little while. I've got a few more videos coming up. I've got cars lined up for ages. Make sure to hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.